As EV adoption accelerates, the next challenge is charging infrastructure. Joining me to talk about EV Power for Life and the true economics of EV charging are Robert Blessing of Renew Energy, Michael Wood of Checkered Flag Auto Group, and Alex Lawrence of EV Auto.
You know that song, when we curate music for the walk-ons? I was like, that's the perfect song. If any of you saw my long-distance EV journey, that's kind of how I felt the whole time. I'm like, am I going to run out of charge from Charlotte to Syracuse? We should have just blasted that the whole way. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I love that we're talking about EVs. It is one of those topics that last year, there wasn't a conversation that didn't include an EV conversation. Now, it seems to be like a different level of conversation, and I think the real solutions are coming to the top. The real people who understand what the vehicles are and what they need are starting to get more specific because we're kind of getting the hype out of the way. So I want to take just a quick second, let you each introduce yourself, give just 30 seconds of your background, what you're doing now, and then we're going to get into the real questions that people have.
Robert Blessing, 13 years in the solar industry. 8 years having EVs, worked for Tesla. That's where I got my start in the EV business.
Hi, I'm Alex Lawrence. I'm the CEO and founder of the EV Group. EV Group is primarily EV Auto, which is 2 car dealerships in Utah, a car dealership opening this summer in Nashville, and one of the other companies is EV Charging, which is related to what we're going to talk about today.
I'm Michael Wood. I'm the general manager for the Jaguar Land Rover division of Checkered Flag in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
If we could have just a tad in the stage monitors, that would help with our voices. Okay, gentlemen, EVs in 2025 in May are different than they were in 2024 in May. You all sell EVs, you all help us charge EVs. There seems to be a lot of opportunity when the two come together. Can you tell us right now what you're doing when the charging conversation, actually, let's back up a second. People want EVs, Alex.
They do where I'm at, thankfully.
You're counting on it, right?
Yeah.
So they want EVs, and you have, you're actually going, you have your first store going up in Nashville.
Yeah, I'm hoping y'all want EVs in Nashville. I hear, actually, the data tells me that they do. The data in Nashville is really supportive and encouraging from historic EV adoption is a lot higher than most people might expect. And in Utah, I started the business 5.5 years ago, and we've had a record month pretty much every month for 5.5 years straight, including this month's beating last month.
So what I hear you saying is a growing appetite.
Yeah, the appetite it's definitely up and to the right.
Michael, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I see in the Hampton Roads market, it's grossly underserved when it comes to EVs. You know, there's just not enough of them in the marketplace. You know, take my dealership, for instance. We have, as a group, we have probably around 550 used cars in stock. When I looked the other day, because a client was trying to buy the last Model Y that I had, my Model Y was the only Tesla that we had in stock. And so then when I started to look at the availability, it's kind of like, do we even have the opportunity for the customer to buy the vehicle? And what I found is that most of the GMs in our group are a little bit skeptical and afraid of the idea of EVs, and whereas I kind of just run to the fire.
Very good. Robert, you offer charging solutions because when people come in to buy an EV or to be curious about an EV, I think one of the first considerations, I bought my first EV just a few months ago, and one of the first things you start to think through before you even consider it is, where am I going to charge this thing? So what are the questions that people actually come into the store with about charging?
Yeah, I mean, it's a super common question. And, you know, for dealers in the room, there's a real easy answer. You want to have that solution already baked into it for them. Oh yeah, we offer charging. We have an electrician at your house within 36 hours, and it costs this much. And, you know, by the time that's done, you've got a gas station in your garage. You don't have to worry about thinking about it again, and here's the price. We can roll it into your deal. You can pay for it separately. Just boom, it's done.
How do you all handle that, Michael?
I mean, for us lately, it's been more of a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach. So instead of waiting for the client to ask us about the charging aspect of it, we're telling them like, hey, this is what's going to happen. We're going to connect you with this company. In 3 days, they're going to come out. They're going to quote you on your level 2 install, and that way you can avoid the public charging, situations and everything like that. So we're hitting it up front instead of waiting for them to ask us about it. We're like, hey, let's make this easier. Let's reduce your effort to transact.
Temperature check in the room. How many people have a solution, if you sell EVs, have a solution in place that seems that streamlined and that easy, that they're proactive? Can't see anything. I see some hands going up.
I got a guy.
Yeah. We had to lower the lights, a little technical. We had to lower the lights because we wear hats. So that means they're right in your face.
About $60,000 of net income per month hits the bottom line for me on charger installations.
How much?
For one store. About 60 grand per month in net income for charger installations for one store.
Okay, let's press in on that. That means charging is a revenue stream.
Oh yeah.
For you.
And Robert's got some cool ways.
Robert, that's where you come in. Just setting the stage. You have some we had a conversation on a webinar about this, and I'm starting to pay attention again as an EV driver now of what it costs even to have charging installed, what it costs in electricity to charge my EV. I have a Ford F-150 Lightning. And you've kind of found a way to blend your experience with Tesla and in solar and now in the charging side of offering dealers a solution that is already the answer to a question clients have when they show up.
So our clients are the dealerships. We go directly to dealerships. There's nothing better than a one-on-one with a human being, not a website. You actually have somebody coming to the customer's house doing the assessment on the spot, and within 3 days of that contract being signed, in Michael's case, before they even sign, we have the number for this installation completed. More importantly, when the car arrives, they have the charger already set up in the house. We have 3 forms of charging. We have the regular J1772, and then we have the wall-mounted models also. When we're there, we also do an assessment to see if it's makes sense to also add solar to the process. We don't bring that up in the beginning because we don't know if we have a situation that'll promote that. But if the home does, we're going to suggest it. The Department of Energy statistic, 1 out of every 4 EV buyers that puts a charger in their home buy solar. That's a $2,000 to $4,000 additional revenue stream for the dealership. We pay our dealerships $250 for every installation that we have, instead of it coming from the OEM side, where the OEM's getting the benefit of that charging station. We're providing that money going to the dealership, so the dealer gets the revenue stream from either the EV charger or the solar installation.
And so we went through this calculation for my situation at my house, and you start to think about what it costs to fuel up an ICE F-150 and for the miles that I drive, and then you start to do a calculation. And I was actually pretty shocked to learn, and I think a lot of consumers would be as well, as how expensive public charging can be. I pulled up to, it was like a grocery store, and very quickly I looked and I did the math, and I'm like, wait a minute, because I was only in there for like 10 or 15 minutes. And really quickly I did the math and realized it would cost me $100 to charge this F-150 Lightning if I charged it all in this public charger. And that was my first wake up moment for oh, it's can be 3-4 times as expensive to charge public as it would be at home. And then you and I had a conversation, and
$36.
36? Was that the number?
So in his particular case, New York had state incentives added to the benefit. His 1,200 miles a month was $36 versus $40 at a station one time.
Yeah, and then I have solar installed in my house as well.
Right.
Okay, so when you do these installations and you're selling EVs and people are wanting this, why do you think that people are quick to adopt this? Well, I guess you did say not everyone gets solar, right? Because they have to be in a spot where the sun, what are the considerations there? Let's start there.
So for our company, we publish our pricing for our competitors to see. Everybody sees our pricing. And we priced it to make sure that we're getting that type of a number for our customers every time. $7.50 to roughly $11 for a charge, depending on the efficiency of the panel system. We also will discount it even further if it's capable of that to, again, promote the EV sales. We want to take EV sales, which are right now probably in the early adopter to early majority stage. The only way we're going to get it to major majority is if we get that charging price down. And this is, by doing what we're doing, is getting that price down.
Okay, I like how you brought up the adoption curve there. Where do you guys think the adoption curve is on EVs? Because again, now the hype is dying down. My personal opinion is that it's a far superior driving experience, and I think it will be able to stand on its own merit of just being a great alternative to ICE. Where do you think the adoption curve is? Are we early adopter stage? What did you call it, early majority?
I would say we're in the tail end of early adoption.
What do you guys think?
I don't think that's inaccurate. I mean, I think that the fundamental problem that we have with the EVs is just us. Like, we get in the way of EV adoption because whether it's comp plans or whatever it is, we make the decision as sales associates, sales managers, that these products are less profitable, so we decide to not push them forward. But all business is just an idea that makes somebody's life better. So if we think about that and we're like, all right, well, I have these products, the manufacturer is going to be giving them to me, they have low front-end margins, so how can I offset that and make my customer's life better? It's by connecting the dots for them and being proactive and saying, all right, you want an EV? This is what your experience is going to be like. This is how we're going to get the installation. And this is how we're going to help you save money on the charging aspect of it. And all the while, we're increasing our net revenue based off of the partnerships.
You sell new EVs and used EVs.
Correct.
Do you find yourself moving people into an EV if they come in either unsure of what they want or even on an ICE vehicle sometimes? Does that happen?
No, I don't sell a customer what I want to sell them. I sell a customer what they want to buy. And
no, and I don't mean like you're steering them there.
Okay.
I mean like, do you have...
I find myself, to that point, steering people to plug-in hybrids. You know, I've given this story before, like my wife was completely anti-EV. And you know, the 2023, the new Range Rover Sport came out, but the autobiography only came in a plug-in hybrid. So I said, hey, if you want the autobiography, you're getting a plug-in hybrid. So she got the car, we got the level 2 charger installed, and she's now at the point where she's like, hey, when's the full EV Range Rover Sport coming out? And so I think that's where we've kind of missed the boat in America, is that like everybody was chasing that market cap that Tesla had, and they're like, hey, Ford can be Tesla, Chevy can be Tesla, we can all be Tesla. But we didn't have the infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure. And we don't have the playbook to make it successful within the dealerships. And we need the time to be afforded to do those things. And that's what a plug-in hybrid does. It's kind of like a gateway drug, if you will, to the full BEV experience.
Alex, you only sell used EVs. And so people come in typically because they want an EV. How many people come in, or what percentage of people come in not sure if they want an EV?
Yeah, first I was just going to say though, man, we don't sell people what they want. We sell what I want to sell them. Like, there's no... That was a joke. Come on, man.
Everybody's like, okay, awkward.
My grandpa used to always tell me, it's not a joke if you have to tell people it's a joke. So I guess that didn't work. But I want to just riff off of the adoption curve question real quick, and then I'll follow up on used EVs. It's very much dependent upon the region. Where the charging infrastructure is more mature than others. And crazily enough, I didn't realize when I got into the car business 5.5 years ago, I was getting into politics. But boy, did I ever. I had my first protesters this last weekend.
Your first what?
Protesters at my dealership.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I felt like a moment of made it. I made it. Elon, I made it. I have friends and peers in other parts of the country that their demand experience is much different than my demand experience. And so I know net on a curve, that's what you're asking. The curve is still up and to the right. I do not think, using the cross the chasm analogy, that we are close to crossing the chasm yet. But the thing that I try and get across to my dealer friends, there's still an awful lot of people buying them. There's still plenty of business to be had there. So with regard to only selling used EVs, I'm the only company in Utah that sells only used EVs. I have competitors that have a good amount of them in their inventory, but they also sell ICE vehicles on the same property. And so between our Google reviews and our social media, our physical locations, that's starting to snowball, in that we have, fortunately, a lot of people that are there to buy. They just don't know which one. they've kind of already gotten pretty comfortable with it. But we have another portion, they've never driven one before. They have lots of friends that have and that love them, but they've never driven one before. And so one of the things that fits our culture naturally, but I think also would lend itself to a good experience for other dealers that are selling EVs, is you just have to get comfortable that they may very well walk out that door and not buy. They have lots of questions. They don't need to have you show them things about a gas car that they need to show them about an EV. And if you're okay with, hey, we might have some customers come in today that are future customers. We're just here to educate them, and then they're gonna go home and think about it. Of course you're gonna go home and think about it. I didn't give you enough things you needed to go home and think about, right? But does anybody know that? Does anybody
Another joke.
Yeah, right?
It's another joke.
Yeah.
If I could, would you?
I had to do that one.
That was a good one.
Is he here? He
With
wouldn't
that
come
being
this
said,
way.
just go back to how many do you sell about per month?
Last month we sold 200 EVs.
200. And you said you added about $60,000 to your bottom line through
Just through Charger
Through
product.
Charger.
And that was through one location. Our second location just opened.
And do you typically present that like we're in as part of the F&I process?
Yeah, to his point, we actually have a charging stand, if you will, that's built right next to where the salespeople work. So it's sitting right there front and center. And so it's a part of every conversation. We just simply say, how do you plan to charge the vehicle? And some people are like, I've got one in my garage already because I have another EV. I've got a 220 dryer plug. Ooh, I hadn't thought about that yet. But we just ask them how they're planning to charge the vehicle, and then based on that answer, we present a solution to them.
Right, so everybody's hearing that, right? For all of the conversations about EVs saying they're going to take away maintenance, or, like we don't have all these other things, like 60,000 on 200 vehicles, right? Multiply 60,000 by 12, we can all do the math, right? That's a healthy F&I product now to sell that not only is just, and it's not paint protection, right?
It feels good to sell.
Your car will
You're
not run
helping.
unless you
Yeah,
have
it feels
a,
good.
right?
Yeah.
And you feel like you're really helping somebody. Robert, in your experience and how you help present that, what do you actually contribute to the presentation of those things?
With the customer?
Yeah, well, how do you empower the dealer for the presentation? Or do they just pass them over to you so you can present the options?
So through our process with Michael,
Hold that mic a little bit closer.
through our process with Michael, he emails us the system. We're actually switching our Salesforce where the dealership's software can talk with our software and through AI voice recognition also. So it's a very simple process. We get the order, we call the customer up, we set the time to come over to the house because every house is different.
So Michael, let me just go step by step so we know we don't miss this. You talk about the system the client is interested in and the price. Once you say, yes, we want the system at the price, then it moves to you.
And
so it's a little different than that. I don't speak to the price with it. Okay. I just introduce the connection. Okay. And I say that, hey, we're a 60-year dealer group here in Hampton Roads. We've vetted this third party, and we approve them to come out. And so we sponsor the fact that we want you to work with them. You have choice, obviously, but we introduce them, and then I typically just send an email over giving a little bit of backstory about the client, any information that I have that could help them with understanding who they are, et cetera, because I want to make sure that the customer is going to look at them as an extension of my dealership.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I need to make sure that Robert understands that his experience has to be commensurate with the experience that I expect from my clients.
And they're giving you the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
that's how they feel. I gave you the money.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
So that's why I felt comfortable. It was nice that he's local too, so that was definitely beneficial, but getting to know Robert, it made me feel comfortable knowing that my clients were going to be taken care of in the fashion that I take care of them. And that's why prior to this, I hadn't had any kind of agreement because I couldn't find somebody that I trusted to be able to take care of my clients in that way.
Okay, and then he passes to you?
And it's so important that installation is done either before or within 3 days. The worst case scenario is 3 days from them having that car at the house. It's their gasoline. They have to have this. We don't want them having the experience that I had when I was with Tesla, sitting at an hour waiting for a charging station to come available, or sitting there charging the car another hour. That's not an experience we want our customers to have, nor is that going to promote EV. So get it in the house before it's even there is the best alternative.
Is your process pretty similar?
Yeah, it's a little different. Ours is integrated. We have a portal, and we actually take their information from the deal that we're working, put it into the portal, it gets submitted, and then they get a phone call. We guarantee a phone call within 24 hours, and ours is a white labeled in-house. So then somebody goes, EV Auto, shows up EV Auto, and So it's pretty similar.
So what do you mean somebody shows up to do the install?
Yeah, with the charger and everything ready to go.
Wow, that's another level of like trust and system that you have, but it also a significant brand build.
Significant.
A significant brand build.
Yeah,
Like
it is. I mean, and when we leave it, since the charger has a QR code with our service center schedule. So it's also like, hey, if you ever need service on any of your cars, you just scan this, you can get on our calendar for service.
Oh, that's really smart. It's like the new oil change sticker. Yeah.
Ours won't peel off, though.
That's right. Okay, so actually, I should ask questions. If you have questions, you may have already beat me to this, but please just open the app, click on agenda, click on this session, and there's a Q&A button right at the bottom. I'm going to see if there's anything in there. I'd love to get to as many as we can. And they can be about charging. They can be about EVs in general because we have a couple experts on the stage right now. So let me just dig into this and see if we have anything so far. My internet just is like, you wish I worked right now. I do wish you worked right now. Nope. Nope. All right. Alex, how do you maintain, oh, this is totally out of left field. How do you maintain such a great physique? I'm just kidding, that's not the question. How do you maintain a 5-star online rating? That is a difficult feat.
Yeah, so I'm new to the car business. And I think that a lot of car dealers have not bought a car as a customer in a very long time. And some of them are multi-generational car dealership owners, and so they've never bought a car as a true customer. And sadly for me, that experience has been horrific over the years. I've bought 40 or 50 cars, and unless it's a really, really, really expensive car, the experience has not been that great. And even then, it still took too long. And so when I got into this business, I decided I just wasn't going to do any of the things that I didn't like. And so if you want a price from us over the phone or via text, we will give that to you in 10 seconds. And the only added fee is our dock fee. The rest is just sales tax license, and that's it. And it doesn't matter if you pay cash, it doesn't matter if you finance, it doesn't matter if you have a trade, that's it. If they want to take my number, go shop it somewhere else, great, more power to you. When they come in, we hand them a license plate and the keys and say, go have fun. We don't go on test drives. I hated that when somebody would go with me on a test drive. And so we just let them go. And when they come back in, we're just happy to visit and answer questions. When you physically come into my dealership, there won't be a single person that's not dressed like me. They're comfortable. They look professional and clean and stuff like that, but they're comfortable. And there's probably some rap music playing, and there might be a dog running around, a friendly dog, and really cool furniture, and a fridge that's full of 80 different kinds of drinks, no lame old popcorn machine. And just when they walk in, it just feels different. They're treated different. If they have questions, great. If they don't, everything's digital, and they can be in and out of there. They only work with one person. They don't go back to F&I. We don't pitch them on stuff. They get paid a flat fee based on the car they buy, so it doesn't matter which car they buy. And we only sell things that we think we can genuinely are a good idea for them. So I only have 5 things you can sell one of my customers other than the car. 5. And our team, of which in 5 years we've had no turnover, just will only sell things that they believe in. And so when you do all those things...
Wait, did you say no turnover?
None. And when you say all those things and make that experience, they've never experienced buying a car like that. They just never have. And then after the sale, I put my money where my mouth is. I've had a guy 3 days later, his battery went out. 3 days later, we're in as-is state, there's no cool-off period, nothing, $18,000 fix. I got the opportunity to test myself if I really believe it, and I stroked a check for 18 grand. And so we just do things a little differently, and that ends up resulting in 500 5-star reviews and like 6 bad ones, and 4 of them are fake, dirty buggers.
I swear.
Google won't do a damn thing about it, but I want you to know I message Google like every 3 days to try and get rid of them.
I think you should step it up
I'm
to
never
every
going to
day.
stop. Does anybody work for Google? I will. But anyway, that was a long answer to a short
Does anyone know
question.
anyone who works for Google?
Somebody will go out there and put a 3-star in this audience just to show me, I bet, yeah.
Here's an interesting question. How do you handle charger install questions for plug-in hybrids? Do you still push 240 volt level 2 for plug-ins?
Absolutely. Because if you don't have a level 2 charger for that vehicle, you're not getting the value in what that vehicle is. And in fact, you're just going to chew through certain components faster because of the weight and differences of the vehicle, et cetera. So yeah, 100%. Like, it took me about 3 months to get my wife level 2 charger installed. And for those first 3 months, I heard about it every single
Wasn't
day.
me.
And she wasn't getting, yeah, it was before us. She wasn't getting the experience that she should have out of that vehicle. So it was just a lower capacity gas tank, so lower distance that it could go without that additional 55, 60 miles of EV capacity that it has.
Do you have any additional context for that? How do you approach, or is it, because
we
obviously
only
the
do-
cost differential is different.
It's different, but it's a time factor. And for Michael, my wife and his wife have the same car, and you're in there an hour. I think it takes an hour for us to get to the level that we need to. And they go for 51 miles, and my wife never uses the gas side of the car except when we drive to Baltimore or when we drove to Nata. That's the only time we've ever had to put gasoline in the vehicle.
Wow. Does the cost of charging at dealerships, I think this means for dealerships to be charging their EV fleet, significantly impact their P&L, and how do dealerships plan on mitigating that rising electricity burden? Well, I mean, of course, it's part of your P&L.
Oh, yeah. So,
What is your electricity bill per month?
yes, I should tell you, last month it was $1,800 for the new location, and we've got 12 chargers. They're running most of the time.
Level 2s?
12 level 2 chargers. It was $1,800.
And how many do you sell out of that location?
That location, so the one location is pretty small. We sold about 80 something out of there. The lot holds 40. And then the other location, lot holds about 65, and we sold a little over 100 in that location.
So, I mean, it seems like on the first number, I mean, you're probably carrying about $20 to $30 per unit.
I've never done the math like that. I probably should.
I think I did it.
Yeah.
I think I just did it.
Okay.
But
Either
check
way,
me
it's
on that.
way less than the amount of gas that I have to put into a petrol version, so.
Oh.
You know, I mean, if it's $20 per car, I mean, I'm spending way more to fill up a Range Rover for a client when they buy the vehicle.
Right,
without
so you're
question.
like, it offsets actually it's a savings.
I think the bigger thing that people have to recognize too is like, what is your charging capacity based on your electric company? Like, you know, do you have the proper transformers outside of your business to be able to set up the right amount of chargers for you? Like for my instance at my store, I can't handle another level 3 charger. And so we've been on a waiting list for about 9 months now with the local utility department to have our
get the
transformer
infrastructure?
upgraded so we can have another one in. So it's definitely something you have to plan for to make sure that you have the appropriate infrastructure.
I do want to point out too, Michael said petrol. I will translate that.
I am with Jaguar Land
I mean,
Rover.
he's a JLR dealer looking for a new brand.
That means gas.
Yeah. Hey, when's the new Jaguar coming out?
I have no comment.
He is on the council.
I can just tell you it's absolutely beautiful. I've seen it in person, and the apple did not fall far from the tree with the Type 00 vision concept.
There you go. Okay, very nice. Let's see. We have 1 minute and 33 seconds. Get your question in. Let's see. Alex, what is one thing you would do in early EV auto days with the knowledge you know now?
I would have been way more aggressive earlier. I was, I started this with one car in my driveway 5.5 years ago, and I'm a frugal guy, so I would have pushed more chips to the table sooner and gone harder.
What's the average cost for a charger install? Can the customer pay that expense? Oh, we already know it can roll it into the finance. What's the average charge? What would you say, Robert?
I've had as low as 1,000 and as high as 2,000, depending on the location of the panel.
So kind of a maximum of 2,000,
2's the most, yes.
but it's usually probably around, you said the lowest or the
Lowest
average?
is 1,000,
Okay.
and 1,500 is a safe number.
Okay. Tracking across
Yeah, I
the
mean,
board?
I think it's hit it head on. It depends on the house, right? Like, I live in a newer build house, so it's significantly easier for the electrician to install there, whereas parts of Virginia Beach have homes that were built in the 1940s and 50s, and that's going to be a bit more of a costly installation for sure.
Do most people put them in the garage, outside? Like,
Yeah, garage.
Every one of mine's been in the garage.
everyone has been in the garage? Yeah. Well, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure unpacking this a little bit. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Can we hear it for our panel today?
Thank you.
And make sure you go see Robert. He's got an awesome booth out there. Gentlemen,
Oh, yeah.
thank you so much.
You can win a charger. So
There you go.
Anybody that scans their tag, we have 2 chargers we're giving away.
Well, I'm in the market for a charger. You might see one under my scarf, like walking away from
I
your
think
booth.
you got one.
I did. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much, everybody.